Hi, I'm Catherine Evans from Wiki-ed.
In this video, we are going to have an overview of Sonocent Audio Notetaker, looking specifically at the screen where you would do your recording and work with your presentation. When you open Sonocent Audio Notetaker, your home screen gives you the choice of what kind of project you want to do. You can even start from importing the audio or the slides. It's particularly important to note at the moment that with online lectures, you should be recording from speakers only if you are not going to participate, or there might be background noise, or from microphone and speakers if you're going to be participating in the lecture and need to record your own input. I'm just going to start with a blank project because I'm not doing that. And what I'm going to do with the blank project is I am actually going to start straight away by importing the slides that I made earlier that outline this, and they're saved in my OneDrive, of course, and they take a little while to open because when Sonocent is importing PowerPoint slides, it actually opens PowerPoint Engine in the background to do so. Each slide has come in neatly in its own section, and I'm going to start recording now. Just to show you how the recording happens. So the audio is going into the audio pane, and what we're going to do is we're going to have an overview of the screen. If you click the section button, it moves your audio to the next section on your slide, and we've already done these two slides. But the other thing I want to show you is that when you hover over the section button, it tells you can press F12 or Control and Enter to insert a section break. So if I do this, if I press Control and Enter, I'm now onto the third screen, which was my overview of the screen. And what I'm going to do is show you something else. You can make the slides bigger if you want to see them. So I'm going to slide this right across there, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and you'll see here we are with our recording, and this is the slide we are on. This is the slide that gives you the overview of the screen. At the top you have the tabs, then you have the toolbar, then you have the three panes for images, text and audio. You have a sidebar for editing images, text and audio. And at the bottom you have the view bar, which shows which panes are open, but we'll come to that later. So I'm going to move on to the next slide. And the first thing we have at the top of our screen is the tabs area. And this is tabbed like a web browser, and for every file you have open you have a tab. So at the moment we just have our file that we're working on the home screen. In the left hand corner we have the file menu, which doesn't say file like on most software, but does have an icon that it's kind of something we're getting used to. We have undo, redo, and we have the save button, and that's it for the tabs section. So I'm going to hit Control and Enter again to section down. And now we're going to look at the toolbar. So the toolbar is underneath the tabs, and this is where you do the bulk of your work in Sonocent. At the moment we don't have record because we're recording, so we have stop. Capture is for screenshots. We don't have access to any of the playback elements at the moment, and these are the other elements that we'll use as we go through a recording, but they will be covered in detail in other videos. Our next section at the far end is we can add information to our recording to make it easier to find at a later date, like the topic and the speaker. Moving on again with Control Enter, we now have the panes which are in the middle, and you've already seen that you can make these bigger and smaller if needed. So you have three panes. You have the images pane where your slides go, you have the text pane where your notes go, and you have the audio pane where you can see the audio recording happening. There is a fourth pane that you can open, but again, we're not really interested in that at the moment. So we're just going to move on. And now we come to the side panel. The side panel is to the right of the main panes. And whichever pane you are on in the main pane, you get the corresponding side panel to go with it. However, you don't have to have the same corresponding side panel. So for example, if I click here and I write that this is about the side panel, you'll see that I'm in the text pane in the middle. You can tell because it's highlighted in blue. So therefore on the right, I'm in the text pane. but I could change it to the audio pane on the right if I wanted. This might be useful because you often want to mark up the audio with these colours. And these numbers next to the colours are actually shortcut keys. And if you press any of those with Control, you can start doing it. So if you do Control 1, you can see it started to mark the audio that it's recording as important, although if I start to type, I am still in the side panel, notes panel. I can also still Control 1 and turn off that red marking in the audio, and we will cover those sort of markings later on in our videos on recordings. If we move on to the next area of the screen with Control Enter, we come to the view bar, which is at the very bottom. You can see that it's recording, that's showing at the moment. But the other things we have here, these are the different panels we can have, the panes that we have in the main section. So if I hide the images pane, if I didn't have any slides, I could just have audio and notes. The one that's actually greyed out is the reference pane, which you can use to add references or some other things that you might want to add as the same as notes. You can choose not to have any notes at all. You can choose not to show the audio, although I'm not entirely sure why you'd want to not notice that it's still recording, because you'll probably forget. And the very last thing on here is full screen. It's the presentation key, but basically it won't work at the moment because we're recording, but it gives you the option to watch it back as if you're live in the presentation. And those are the areas of the Sonocent Audio Notetaker screen.
I'm Catherine Evans from Wiki-ed. Please subscribe if you want to see more videos on assistive technology. And if you want to find me on social media, search for Wiki-ed Essex.